So many people wake up every day feeling stuck. They look in the mirror, they go to the same job, live in the same routine, have the same conversations, and inside there's this quiet ache. A voice that says, this isn't it. Something's off. I don't feel alive. And here's the twist. Most people think they're stuck because of their job, or their relationship, or their lack of time, or their lack of money. But the real reason, it's misalignment. You are not stuck because you're not capable. You're not stuck because there's no opportunity. You're stuck because there's a disconnect between what you do and why you do it. Let me explain. Most people, when they feel stuck in life, immediately start pointing to their circumstances. I hate my job. I don't have enough money. I'm stuck in this relationship. I don't have time. These are the surface level explanations we tell ourselves, and on the outside they may sound reasonable, but more often than not, they're not the real reason. The deeper truth, the reason we truly feel stuck, is because we are living out of alignment with who we really are. Misalignment is subtle. It doesn't scream at you, it creeps in slowly. It shows up as low energy, as dread when you wake up, as a quiet frustration with your day. Even if nothing went wrong, it's when everything on the outside seems fine, but inside, something doesn't feel right. You start to question your choices. You wonder if this is all there is. And you feel guilty for not being more grateful. That's the weight of misalignment. You're living a life that doesn't reflect your values, your purpose, or your truth. You see, circumstances change. Jobs come and go. Relationships evolve. Opportunities rise and fall. But if you're misaligned internally, if your actions are not connected to your beliefs, your desires, and your vision, then no external shift will truly fix how you feel. You could switch careers, move cities, find a new partner, or make more money. But that feeling of being stuck will eventually come back, because it's not about where you are. It's about how deeply your life reflects who you are. Most of us were conditioned to make choices based on approval, not alignment. From a young age, we learned to prioritize what looks good over what feels right. We followed expectations, get a stable job, make a good living, settle down, even when those choices didn't align with our heart. And for a while that works, but eventually the cost of pretending becomes too high. The mask gets heavier, the disconnection becomes impossible to ignore. That's when the sense of being stuck hits hardest. Not because you've failed, but because you've succeeded at building a life that doesn't feel like yours. Here's the empowering truth. Feeling stuck is not a sign you're broken. It's a sign you're ready for change. It's your inner compass trying to tell you there's something more authentic waiting for you. Misalignment doesn't mean you've wasted your time. It means you've gathered the data, lived the contrast, and now you're ready to come home to yourself. So instead of blaming your job, or your schedule, or your bank account, take a breath and ask yourself, what do I really want? What matters to me? What kind of life would make me proud, not in the eyes of others, but in my own heart? You won't find alignment overnight. It's not a quick fix, but it starts with honesty. It starts with listening. And the more you move toward what feels real, the less stuck you will feel. Because now, you're not just reacting to life, you're choosing it. When your actions reflect your truth, momentum returns, energy comes back, peace shows up. Not because everything's perfect, but because for the first time you're no longer fighting against yourself. And that is the freedom you've been craving all along. From the time we are young, we're taught to chase success. Study hard, get good grades, get into a good college, find a well-paying job, climb the ladder. These are the instructions handed down to us by family, society, and culture, often with the best of intentions. The message is clear: move forward, keep achieving, don't fall behind. And so we do. We chase, we strive, we compete, we accumulate. But rarely, almost never, are we asked to stop and question where all of this is taking us. We are so focused on achieving the next milestone that we don't take the time to ask whether the path we're on even leads to a place we truly want to go. We confuse movement with meaning and progress with purpose. This is the hidden danger of success. Not because success is wrong, but because pursuing it blindly can lead to a destination that feels hollow. Imagine climbing a mountain for years, only to reach the top and realize you were on the wrong mountain. The view is impressive, but it doesn't move you. You made it, but it doesn't feel like you. That's the cost of never asking why. We celebrate the idea of hard work and perseverance. And those are good things, but even the best effort is wasted if it's moving us in the wrong direction. The truth is, many people don't feel lost because they're lazy or unmotivated. They feel lost because they've never stopped long enough to figure out where they actually want to go. Success, when it's not tied to personal values or a deeper purpose, becomes a performance. We start making decisions based on what looks good on paper, what impresses others, or what offers the most security. But underneath, there's a quiet longing for something more meaningful. That longing doesn't mean we're ungrateful. It means we're human. And yet questioning the destination is scary. It means admitting that maybe we've been on autopilot, that maybe we've built a life based on expectations instead of intention, that maybe we've said yes to things we didn't actually want, just to avoid disappointing others or being left behind. But here's the truth. It's never too late to redirect. There is no shame in pausing to reevaluate. In fact, that pause may be the bravest and most powerful thing you ever do, because clarity is worth more than speed. Direction is more important than momentum. When you start asking, what does success mean to me? You open the door to something far more valuable than a title or paycheck. You open the door to a life of alignment, a life where your outer achievements are a reflection of your inner truth, a life where you don't just succeed, you matter. This doesn't mean you have to throw everything away and start over, but it does mean you begin making decisions from a place of awareness. You stop living by default. You start living by design. True success is not about being ahead of others. It's about being at peace with yourself. It's about waking up and knowing that what you're doing matters to you, not just to the world. It's about reaching the end of your path and feeling proud of how you walked it, not just how far you went. So don't just chase success. Define it. Question it. Own it. Make sure the ladder you're climbing is leaning against the right wall. Because it's not how high you climb that will fulfill you. It's where you're headed and why you're going there. When people say they feel unmotivated, they often describe it as a lack of energy, drive, or discipline. They think they're lazy or that something is wrong with them. But in most cases, the issue isn't motivation. It's clarity. You're not unmotivated. You're unclear. Clarity is the foundation of all sustained motivation. When you know exactly what you're working toward, and more importantly, why it matters to you, motivation becomes natural. It doesn't require hype or constant pushing. You wake up with a sense of purpose, not pressure. But when you're unclear, when your goals are vague, when your purpose is fuzzy, when your next step is undefined, that's when everything feels heavy. It's not that you're unwilling to move forward. It's that you're unsure where forward even is. Most people don't realize that motivation is tied directly to meaning. We are driven not just by what we do, but by how connected we feel to it. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most energized. Chances are you weren't just busy. You were engaged. You had a reason. There was a why behind the effort. You felt like it mattered. But modern life has a way of clouding that connection. We're bombarded with noise, with expectations, with pressure to perform. We're told what success should look like, what paths to follow, and what goals to pursue. Over time, we begin living by default, rather than by design. We lose touch with our own compass. And without that internal clarity, motivation withers. That's why trying to push through without getting clear first rarely works. It leads to burnout, frustration, and guilt. We beat ourselves up for not being consistent, for procrastinating, for falling short. But punishing yourself for a lack of motivation, when you're operating in a fog, is like blaming a car for not moving when it's out of fuel. The good news, clarity is something you can create. It begins with asking the right questions. Not how can I be more productive, but what actually matters to me. Not what should I do next, but what direction feels right to me, even if it's hard or unpopular. Clarity isn't just about setting goals. It's about aligning your goals with your value. When what you're pursuing reflects who you are, motivation becomes sustainable. You don't need tricks or hacks. You just need truth. It also means giving yourself permission to slow down and reflect, to step back and think deeply. This can be uncomfortable in a world that glorifies speed and hustle. But clarity doesn't come from constant motion. It comes from honest stillness. Ask yourself, what do I value most? What kind of life do I want to build? What does success mean to me? What am I doing just to please others? What excites me, scares me, or makes me feel alive? The answers may not come instantly. That's okay. Clarity is a process, not a switch. But every time you choose reflection over reaction, you get closer to the truth. And with each layer of clarity, motivation returns. Not because you're forcing it, but because you found something worth moving toward. So if you're feeling stuck or uninspired, don't rush to fix it with more work or more pressure. Instead, pause and listen. Look inward. You might just find that you're not broken. You're simply in need of direction. And once you get clear, even just a little bit, momentum follows. You begin to move with intention. You start saying no to things that don't align. You wake up with focus instead of frustration. Because at the end of the day, clarity creates energy. Purpose creates drive. And when you know who you are and what you're here to do, motivation becomes a byproduct, not a battle. There's a story many people are living, and it goes like this. If I just achieve more, earn more, or get to the next level, I'll finally feel fulfilled. So they chase external success, promotions, awards, status, wealth, attention, believing that if they pile up enough of it, the emptiness inside will eventually disappear. But it doesn't work that way, and it never has. Because no matter how shiny the outside looks, it cannot fix what's unsettled on the inside. External success is often loud. It draws attention. It's measurable and visible. It makes people admire you, envy you, or even want to be like you. But fulfillment, that's quiet. It lives in the small, honest moments, when you feel aligned, seen, and at peace with yourself. And if you're not living in alignment, no amount of applause will silence the inner void. The void is not a flaw. It's a signal. It shows up when you've built a life based on expectations, not intentions. It appears when the life you're living is out of sync with your values, your truth, your identity. You can be praised by thousands, loved by everyone in the room, and still feel deeply alone. That's not failure. That's disconnection. We're often told to push harder, work more, get further. And yes, there's value in ambition. But the danger lies in attaching your sense of worth to what you produce or accomplish. Because what happens when the applause fades, when the promotion is over, when the goals are checked off, but you're still lying awake at night, wondering why it all feels so empty? The reason is simple. External success is about what you do. Fulfillment is about why you do it. When there's no meaningful why, the work becomes hollow. The money feels pointless. The recognition feels undeserved. That's why some of the most outwardly successful people are also the most inwardly lost. They've mastered achievement, but ignored alignment. The truth is, we often chase success as a way to distract ourselves from the deeper work. It's easier to stay busy than it is to sit still with your thoughts. It's easier to build a brand than to build a foundation of self-awareness. But without that foundation, everything you build becomes unstable. The world may not reward inner peace the way it rewards performance, but peace is what allows you to sleep at night. It's what allows you to look in the mirror and like who you see. And that's something no title, no trophy, no bank account can give you. So if you've reached a point where you feel like something's missing, even though everything should be fine, listen to that. Don't dismiss it. Don't try to cover it up with more doing. Explore it. What part of you have you neglected in the pursuit of success? What passions, truths, or dreams have you buried in the name of being practical or productive? You can still achieve great things. You can still be ambitious. But let that ambition be guided by something real. Build a life that not only looks good, but feels good. One that feeds your soul, not just your ego. Because true success isn't about how much you have. It's about how whole you feel. And the most powerful kind of success is when you no longer need the world's validation to feel worthy. You don't need to prove anything. You need to connect with what matters. The more you do that, the less you'll chase what's on the outside, and the more fulfilled you'll become from the inside out. In a world that rewards speed, urgency, and constant productivity, it's easy to believe that the faster you move, the more successful you'll be. We're told to keep going, keep pushing, keep climbing. Hustle is glorified, rest is seen as weakness, and slowing down feels like falling behind. But the truth is, direction doesn't come from speed, it comes from reflection. You can run as fast as you want, but if you're headed in the wrong direction, you're not progressing. You're just getting lost faster. Movement isn't always meaningful. Being busy doesn't always mean you're building something that matters. Without reflection, you risk spending your entire life chasing goals that don't actually belong to you. Reflection is uncomfortable because it requires stillness. It demands that you stop, look within, and ask the hard questions. Who am I becoming? Why am I doing this? Is this path mine, or was it chosen for me? These aren't questions that can be answered in a moment. They take time, they take honesty, and they often challenge everything you've been conditioned to believe about success. That's why most people avoid reflection. It's easier to keep moving than to admit that you might be climbing the wrong ladder. It's easier to stay busy than to confront the possibility that you've been ignoring your true desires, passions, or calling. But if you never slow down to reflect, you will never know what you're truly capable of. Because you're not living with intention, you're just reacting. Reflection gives your life direction. It's not about overthinking or getting stuck in the past. It's about learning to pause long enough to listen to your values, your gut, your dreams. When you reflect, you reconnect with who you are, not just what the world expects you to be. You begin to see clearly, and that clarity is what gives your choices power. Think about a ship in the ocean. If the captain just steers without checking the compass, they can move quickly, but they might never reach the right destination. A small pause to adjust the course can save months, years, or even a lifetime of drifting. That's what reflection does. It helps you realign with your internal compass, so that your energy, effort, and time are directed towards something meaningful. It's also important to understand that reflection isn't a one-time event. It's a regular practice. The world changes, you change, and your priorities evolve. What made sense 5 years ago might not make sense today, and that's okay. Reflection allows you to adapt with grace, instead of clinging to outdated goals or roles. Some of the most successful and fulfilled people aren't those who moved the fastest. They're the ones who moved the most intentionally. They built lives that were thoughtful, not rushed. They took the time to understand themselves and made decisions from that foundation. That's real power. That's real freedom. So if you feel lost, stuck, or uncertain, the solution isn't to do more. It's to pause, get quiet, journal, go for a walk without your phone. Ask yourself what truly matters, and listen. The answers won't always come right away, but they will come if you give them space. Direction isn't found in chaos. It's found in clarity, and clarity comes when you're brave enough to slow down. Don't let speed rob you of purpose. Don't let noise drown out your inner voice. Your life deserves more than blind momentum. It deserves meaning, and that begins with reflection. Feeling stuck is one of the most frustrating human experiences. It can feel heavy, confusing, and even shameful. You wake up and wonder why you're not making progress, why you're not where you thought you'd be, why the things that once felt right now feel hollow or off. It can feel like failure, like a personal flaw, like you're broken. But here's a truth most people overlook. Being stuck isn't a life sentence. It's a signal. It's easy to see stuckness as the end, like you've hit a wall and there's no way through. But in reality, that stuck feeling is information. It's your mind, your body, your heart telling you something important. Something needs to change. Maybe you've outgrown your environment. Maybe your current path no longer reflects who you are. Maybe you're being pulled towards something new, but fear or uncertainty is holding you back. Whatever the reason, the feeling itself is not your enemy. It's your wake-up call. Being stuck forces you to confront the parts of your life you've been ignoring, the goals you've abandoned, the dreams you've put on hold, the relationships, habits, or patterns that no longer serve you. Without that friction, without that feeling of stagnation, you might continue to coast indefinitely. You might keep showing up in a life that doesn't fit anymore. And so that sense of stuckness becomes a kind of gift, not a comfortable one, but a necessary one. Too often, we try to push through being stuck by forcing more action, by doing more, grinding harder, pretending everything's okay. But stuckness isn't always a problem that can be fixed by movement. Sometimes, it's asking for stillness, for reflection, for honesty, for the courage to admit, this isn't working for me anymore. And that is not weakness, that's wisdom. It's also important to recognize that being stuck doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. Every person who has ever grown, evolved, or transformed has experienced moments where nothing seemed to make sense. Moments where the old version of themselves no longer fit, but the new version hadn't yet arrived. That space between the known and the unknown, that's where growth happens. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Stuck is a pause before a breakthrough. Think about nature. A snake sheds its skin when it's outgrown. A seed stays buried in darkness before it sprouts. There's tension, pressure, and waiting in all of nature's transitions. The same is true for us. Feeling stuck might mean you're on the edge of a new chapter. You just haven't stepped through the door yet. But here's the thing, stuckness only becomes a sentence when you ignore it, when you numb it, when you stay in it, out of fear, instead of listening to what it's trying to tell you. If you stay too long in a job that drains you, in a mindset that limits you, or in an environment that stifles you, you're not honoring the message, you're avoiding it. And over time, what starts as discomfort can turn into despair. So the next time you feel stuck, don't panic, don't shame yourself, get curious. Ask, what part of me is asking for change? What am I avoiding? Because it's unfamiliar. What does this stuckness want me to see? You are not broken. You are not behind. You are simply in transition, and transitions are where your future begins.